Hey there, what do you say there, world? Welcome to a special edition of the Racers Recap. Super excited today. We have guest host Redmond Ramos. He's in
Hey.
the car with an awesome beard. So Jen is actually Jen Hudak from Season 30's Team Extreme will be joining us. She'll pop up at any moment. She's in traffic. And we are fortunate enough to have one of all of our favorite camera guys. His name is Ryan Shaw. Ryan, welcome.
Thanks, Justice. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, man, dude, how many seasons have you been doing Amazing Race?
I've done like 4 or 5 American ones, and I'm the DP on the Canadian one.
So how many Canadian as well?
I am starting tomorrow on my 6th one.
So, wow. So you got 11 seasons of Amazing Race under your belt. So I would say you're pretty well versed to answer some questions about what it's like to be a cameraman on the Amazing Race.
I think so. Yeah, sure.
Something that we are, Redmond, I don't know if you know this, but I know Jen knows this. Ryan was the camera guy for the team last season that lost their passport, Team Ocean Rescue. So he was part of the biggest drama of last season. I know Redmond didn't get to see everything. You in there? It's all good, Red.
I can't.
I can't hear a damn thing.
We're driving. I can't hear. The reception's back.
Oh, I love it. Do you have headphones? That'd be awesome.
No, my audio is fine. I have earbuds in, but you're cutting out. I think it's because.
Gotcha.
So sorry, I'm gonna be a bad host for a few minutes.
That's all right. I'll just carry it. Jump in whenever you want. So, hey.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, I got an awesome co-host now. What's up, Team Extreme?
Hi. I made it.
Well, perfect timing because Red was having some audio issues and it was about to be a struggle with me carrying this here.
Well, hopefully my internet will hold up. If it's being really.
I love it. All right, Ryan. You've also worked on a bunch of Canadian shows. You did Canada's Got Talent. You did Top Chef. What else have you done?
I've done all those shows. Did Project Runway Canada. All the formats that you have down there that we put up here, I think I have to work on a lot of them.
Oh, wow. Have you ever done like a Big Brother?
No, my wife did. She was a producer on it for many years, and I've done like their bios and stuff, but never on set. So
wow.
At the same time that I'm on the Canadian Race.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So he's done the Canadian version. We've got fans here that are definitely fans of the Canadian version in the chat room. So they got some questions. Feel free to throw your questions in the chat, or you could put them out on Twitter. You can use the hashtag Racers Recap. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. Jen, how's things going with you out there? You all right?
Things are good. Yeah, I was coaching a ski clinic today, so no complaints. Fun.
You're in ski weather. Redmond's like in beautiful sunny weather. And Ryan, where are you at in Canada? Is it nice out there?
Yes, but I had to close the drapes because it even skiing. So.
All right, cool. So you're not in like Arctic Canada. You're in like really nice Canada.
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. Okay, I've been there. All right, so let's get to some questions. And if you guys want to jump in at any point, feel free to jump in. If you got questions of your own, feel free to jump in. If you got stories of your own, I think we should start with your story of how you got started with Amazing Race being a cameraman. I mean, this is a dream job for anybody, but you have like a really cool backstory to go with it. So if you don't mind telling that story, that'd be awesome.
All right, so okay, so I was working with Inside Productions for many different projects, and they got the contract to do Amazing Race. And our boss, Mark Zaposki, called me and said, "Hey, you want to be, a cameraman on it?" I was like, "Absolutely!" It's like the best show in the world. I said, "Absolutely!" I was thrilled. So I was a cameraman on it, And then he called me 2 weeks later, and he's like, "Well, do you want to DP it? You want to be like the lead camera guy on it?" And I was like, kind of bored. I was young, still am young. And I said, "Oh, absolutely." So how I got that job was because another cameraman didn't answer his phone. So,
oh my God.
And I'd worked with him before, and we get along. We're still friends, and I got it. And then the American DP, Peter Rivashel, came up with a couple producers and everything else. They showed us how to do the show, because as you can imagine, the logistics behind this is like nothing else. So it was a huge learning curve on how to do this show. And that's how I got started in it.
Cool. I was talking about the story that you were telling me off camera about college.
Oh, very big. Oh my God. I didn't get that job like that. Oh my God. So the college story, I went to college in like, I went to Redmond, and we had to write treatments for like new shows and all this, and reality was just coming into it. And I pitched an idea about racing around the world. And my instructors were like, "That's impossible. Logistically, I don't know if we can do it. Like, how would you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just know someone could." And then Bert and Elise did it a few years later, showed us how it's done. And I watched the show, and I was a big fan of it, huge fan. And then, fortunately, I got to work on it.
He mentally created the show for a college class. The show was actually created, and then he got the skills to get it on the show and do both the Canadian and the American version. Come on, talking about creating your own reality.
It's just like, I mean, I'm all about looking at, your vision and doing everything you can to get to it. And Ryan's just proof of that. I mean, that's really cool. You saw, I mean, you've been focusing on what you wanted to do for that long, and you made it happen.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of fortunate circumstances that went my way, and yeah, I'm a very fortunate person.
Jen, do you have any?
You answered the phone.
So you answered the phone.
It's a little bit of luck, but it's also fortunate.
Anybody who's ever won anything in life has had to have a little bit of luck along the way.
Yeah, this is true. Luck is always a factor.
You got to have a little bit. If you're a skier, you got to have the right snow. I had the perfect run, whatever it is. Like, you have a little bit of the right factors, whatever it is. There's always got to be a little bit of luck along the way. And I'm sure as a cameraman along the race, what do you think the biggest mistake that racers make is?
Not reading their clue.
Still, really?
All the time.
Like at first when you hear the like, read your clue, and you're like, I'm reading the clue. The problem is like, you're not actually processing the clue. Like, you're reading the words, but you're not really thinking about what they're saying. So that it has a little deeper meaning.
Yeah.
So what Jen's saying, and hi, Jen. I love running with you guys. I love running with professional athletes because you guys are so focused and able to process what we talk about, read the clue. You're able to sit down and process it quickly because you're so used to being under pressure that, and I've run with many different Olympians and through both races and athletes, professional athletes, and it's fun running with you. A, it's hardcore and you have to be in shape to keep up. But B, you can process and you can slow yourself down and process it, which is the #1 thing you have to do in this game.
Wow.
If you don't do that, you are done. I don't care how quick, fast, whatever you are. If you can't process what the clue is giving you, you're done.
Hi, Ryan. It's good to see you again. We liked running with you too.
You guys are the best.
That's awesome. So, so as cameramen, I know you're not allowed to, but do you pick like who you think's gonna win the race before the race, or do you get favorites along the race because of how they run, or is it just like you guys want to be with whoever finishes first so you can have the rest of the day off?
No, you know what? No, we cannot bet on who's winning. So, do we have favorites? No, I wouldn't say we have favorites. There's definitely people that we like running with, but it's also the best thing that we focus on is telling the best story. And sometimes the best story isn't always the people that finish first.
Correct.
So our goal every day, and even when you're with a team that is struggling, like maybe they're back to the pack, maybe they're fighting internally, maybe whatever, it's our goal going into every episode is to tell the best story, pull it out of them. That's what I love doing.
That's cool.
You know, and that's the fun part of it. So if I have a team that's in the last, my goal, because we're a team of 4 with the sound guy, with them, is to try and pull them up as much as possible. Get them going. Get them thinking that they can win this. That's what I love doing.
Wow, so that is awesome. And what you do find out as racers is every camera and sound guy have their own style of doing this, and they have their own style of shooting, and they have their own way of seeing things. You're Canadian, so I think that's part of why you're so nice. There was other guys who wore bandanas across their head. I'm not going to say who the name is, but they're not so nice to me in Rotterdam. Not so nice. You know, he said, you know, I think he said, why don't you just put your big boy pants on and stop pouting? I'm like, oh, you mother, get me riled. But I think that was his job. Get me riled up, poke the beast.
Yeah. Well, here's a little, the thing is we are just there to capture your moment. Then sometimes you need resolution, right? And if you're a good team like you guys were, the green team was an amazing team.
Thank you.
When you see it going off and you're just like, all right, I'm going to film this for a while. And then sometimes you have to lay down the hammer and be like, do you want to go? Let's go. We can sit here and pout, or we can sit here and complain about whatever, but we got to go.
Right.
To win this, just like anybody else does. So let's go. This is a good story right now.
Yeah. I told the behind the scenes where they won him because we finished we were hours ahead of the other team, and we got this 15-minute lead was like pick the time. We got a 15-minute lead. Thanks. We just got a double episode, double leg, keep on racing.
At least you got to maintain leads in your season.
We didn't win anything, and then when you didn't win a prize, and on top of that, we took our lead and made it 15 minutes, and then we lost that lead arguing with Diana. Ah.
No, I think what Jen's alluding to is the lead. What are you alluding to there? That there's equalizers all throughout?
We had, I mean, every leg was equalized except for the Prague leg, which was a little frustrating after a while.
As an audience member, that's what you want. Like, I always want there, you know, to be even every single, I think, the beginning of each episode. But as a racer, it's just the most frustrating thing. You know, if you're coming in relatively high in the list, if you're first or second or third, and then everybody gets equalized, it's just definitely something that makes you just kind of think in the back of your head, like, well, why am I even putting a target on my back then? So it's really frustrating as a racer to get equalized every single freaking episode.
Because you fight so hard.
As an audience member, it's great. I love it when it happens, because I don't like when somebody has a 3-hour lead and then you just know who's going to win.
Right. It makes better TV for sure.
It's better TV, and it's logistically, you can't have someone 3 hours ahead of you.
Yeah. I don't know how they did it.
But it's so frustrating.
Of this show, it's thinking about the logistics of it. How did they even do it?
And the early seasons must have had like 7 sets of security, because they were like people like days ahead. They were like, all right, you're like a day ahead of another team. This guy's 14 hours behind. I'm like, they got to have their own private security people with them. They got to have their camera crew with them. They got to have a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
You have to ask the early crews about that.
Yeah, those are nuts. All right, so let's get to some drama. Passports. You were part of some of the biggest passport drama of these recent seasons, especially last year, Team Ocean Rescue. Can you tell us a little bit about this passport drama? And as a camera guy, why didn't you get all of this passport drama filmed?
Well, here's so we were in transit. We were oh, Jen, you're going to have to tell me. We were in Harar, then we went up to Ethiopia, then we went over to Dubai. I think that was...
So the funny part about this, so our pre-booked... yeah, that's Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Our pre-booked itinerary leaving Harare was on an Emirates flight, and it only had like one connection, and it was so amazing. And Lucas and Brittany got to the travel agent before all the other teams, and they found a flight that had like 4 connections and got in, 45 minutes early. And they thought that there were only 7 seats available, but it was only 7 seats in that fare class. So they like booked it thinking we're going to get this advantage. And then it sort of forced everybody else to like get on this. It was a pretty awful itinerary. It's like such a mess. But we ended up having to, connect through, Addis Ababa or something. And you had to
in Ethiopia. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to go through customs or something. I mean, they needed our passports again for whatever reason. So we had to pull our passports out in the middle of our travel day. And then poor Brittany sits in like some seat with like throw up on it and a dirty diaper in the back of the seat. And just like, I guess their routine, like Lucas would stick his passport in the back of the seat pocket, but Brittany was like out of there so fast that he must have just put it in there, and that was that.
That was that. So when we, so one of the little known facts about our show is, and you guys know this, some places we just can't film. We don't have permits or security around, everything else. So when we went, and you can't film through security, obviously. So we got to Dubai, and we were about to, I had already got our new tickets, my sound person, Ali, and I. She got our plane tickets, and we're sitting there waiting for them. And they're sitting there, and I hear him, because we have audio going too, and I had my audio, and he's like, on my passport. Now in Dubai, they're very strict. You cannot film if we don't have a permit. But I heard it, and I looked over, and I threw my camera on a cart, and I pointed at them, and I hit record, and I pointed at Ali, and like, here's my son.
That is awesome.
So we were filming, and I'm wheeling this cart around trying to get different shots. Security, you'll see in the actual show, you see the security people there with him. They have no idea that I'm filming it. So then he has to go
in the business.
He has to go back through security to check the plane. So now we're in this, I can't go back through with the camera. They'll never let me go back through. We're also trying to tell this story. So thank God I had Matt there, the producer, one of the producers on it.
Yeah.
And we're wheeling around this camera on a cart, and we're just sort of like, you'd set it and then you just walk away. You go back and you check it every now and then. You're like, okay, yep, still rolling.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he came back, and we had all those moments that you see in the show, them sitting there. All that was me, like, they're sitting in an area, and I am all the way over in a different table to set up on my lap.
So if you didn't get these, like, illegal shots, there would be no shots of this passport drama.
I don't want to say illegal. That's,
not illegal. Like,
so awesome.
These gorilla shots. The gorilla shots, right? Call them gorilla shots? Yeah, it's like Gorilla Mar, you don't get the permits, you just film.
Yeah, and so we shot all that, and then the bigger issue that we had was he had to get a new passport. So now we have to leave Dubai, which we're not allowed to be in because it was just a transit city. I can't get my gear through customs to shoot it because I'm not allowed to leave that airport with my gear. So we had to leave my sound person with the gear back behind customs. I took out, we have a backup camera that's about this big. So I took that. Ali, my awesome sound lady, she gave me 2 mics. I took them in my backpack. I walked out with them to a car that was waiting because Amazing Race is amazing. They have fixers everywhere, and they called this person who came down.
Fixers. It's like I got to call my fixer. Hold on.
Yeah, and that's
Bobby. Where you at?
He's working on another project that calls, "We need a passport right now. Go to U.S. Embassy." So then so I walk out of the airport with him. I mic him up in the car. I film a little bit in the car. Obviously, I can't shoot in the U.S. Embassy, but we were all around in the car. And then getting back in was a hassle because they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm actually supposed to meet my person that's behind customs." And it was a lot of finagling. Food talking to get back in and get our new tickets to go to Iran, which is where we ended up.
And of all the places to have the drama, like this is the place you don't want along the way. It's like the Middle East. Anywhere else is fine, and you guys can fix it easy peasy. Like the Middle East, like
So it was a long day. We were in that airport for 8 hours. Well, the saddest part was watching all the other teams like Jen walk by and going onto the train to catch their plane. And we were
sad.
Yeah, because they had just won the last leg, I believe.
Yeah.
They had done really well and had all the confidence in the world, and it was sad.
Oh, yeah, they did. They went from worst to first, and then first to worst, and it happens. It's part of the race. It's unfortunately, it's an error that is unforgivable. As somebody who recaps the show, there's no excuse for losing your passport. When you take it from the counter, it goes back into the fanny pack, and it doesn't come out of the fanny pack for any reason. Period. That's it. Counter, fanny pack, counter. That's it. That's the rule. You don't need to look at it for anything else. It stays there. Has its own pocket that nothing else goes in.
Yeah,
and the way we did it, and I think the way most teams did it is, you know, in real life, I want to have my stuff. I want to have my ID, my wallet, and then if I'm there with my buddy, my wife, whoever, they're going to have their own stuff. But on the race, it's not real life. It's different. And so just about every one of the teams, everybody has both, or one person has all the money, all the IDs, the passports, the driver's license, all that kind of stuff. And that's the person that has it from start to finish. Because as soon as you go, hey, today, Matt, can you hold on to this stuff? Then we're switching up our habits and our routines, and we might screw something up. For us, we knew no matter what, we just said at day one, I'm going to take the passports, and you can do this, this, and that. But I'm the one that had it, and just as easily Matt could have done it. But that way, there's no screw-ups. It's a habit. You know, every single time you go to the restroom, you check your fanny pack. All right, I still have them. Okay, every single time you go to buy something, every time you go to the ticket counter, all right, I still have it. I mean, but everybody has something that they screw up. What we screwed up was something really obvious. So, you know, and I'm sure somebody could have lectured that to me about how, you know, what we did was stupid. So, I mean, everybody, it's just there's a million things going on. It's so easy to make one common mistake.
Jen, what was your rule for the passport?
Oh, I was in charge.
Yeah, I was in charge.
I was in charge, 100%. Yeah, that decision was, I mean, very easy for us to make. Like we took a bus, well, the 5 days in New York, for all the like preliminary interviews and stuff that they're filming. Like I was constantly like, Christy, you forgot your sweatshirt. Christy, you forgot this other thing. Christy. So yeah, I was in charge, and but I took it really responsibly. I didn't wait for Christy to give her passport back. I took the passport from her. So it was like anytime I handed that thing over, I was like watching it like a hawk. So like you said, I mean, it came out at the counter, went back in. If we needed them again at security, it came out at security, and then immediately went back in. Like I was neurotic. But I didn't want to lose a passport and go home because of that.
Yeah, Diana was the passport police for us, and there was a part of a race where you get dressed in these costumes. You know, Bertram loves these costumes, and they were like, "Leave it here." And she said, "No, I'm not leaving it." He's like, "No, leave it here." He goes, she was like, "No," and the producer had to come over and say, "No, you can leave the passports here, the bag with the fanny pack." So she was like, "Yeah,
go ahead."
You get really protective, like mother hen, with those things."
Yeah. I didn't feel safe without my fanny pack.
All right. A couple of the questions that we've gotten from online via Reddit and Facebook. Ryan, what happens when you have to go to the bathroom? Do you tell the racers to stop, or do you just have to hold it until they give you a break?
Well, wait, hold on. Before Ryan answers, can I answer as a racer?
So,
yeah.
I want to say, as a racer, there's not a single person that said anything bad about the camera crew, because you guys are just amazing. And we honestly forget, because they're so good at that. as a racer, you completely forget that your camera crew has needs. Like, you don't think they have to eat. You don't think they have to use the restroom. You don't think they have, I mean, nothing, because they, and I mean, it's, so I'm really curious to hear your answer on this, because we don't even think about you guys. As sad as it is, you guys are so tough. We just keep going.
Well, okay, well, I'll tell you, when we honestly hold it until we get to an event. So if we get to a challenge, and where was it?
Most of the challenges have handheld. They didn't have set cameras, so they don't need handheld.
Cameras will help you. So it was in Argentina. Can't remember what season. Was that your season, Justin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember that cookout we were doing?
Yeah, trust me, I was there the longest.
Yeah, you were. Oh, that's right. That's right. So
Gaucho.
You know that whole ride on the back of the trucks that took forever?
Oh, the bump.
I could piss so badly the whole So we run up to the event, and I'm like, my bladder is like going to explode. And so I run up to the event, and I see a camera, the zone camera. I'm like, take them. And I run right by Elise. Elise is the big boss. And I'm like, where do I piss? He's like, over there. Book it to the bathroom. There you go. So, yeah, I've heard some other awful stories, but we know the show. We, as much as we can, do not want to stop the racers for anything other than that. And there's times in airports and stuff like that you can go. But when you're in mid race, usually your adrenaline's pumping anyway, so you don't have to go. You know, like that's there's places like when you go to India, for example, where on the Canadian crew, everyone got sick. That takes a little courage to get through.
Courage.
But we did it, and it was fine. Yeah.
I had in Bahrain, we drove a lot, and because we got horrendously lost, like the actual time it should have taken is like 20 minutes, and we were probably driving for like 2.5 hours. And I mean, everyone got so horrifically lost. But our camera guy was almost to the point of peeing in a bottle in the car. He's like, he really needed to go, and we're like, we're not stopping. So yeah, the crews are amazing though. You kind of forget that they have needs, because they're so on and have everything dialed. And
the only time, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm done. They're awesome.
Forget they have needs until every once in a while I'll just hear that phrase of what is it, 20 feet? Is that
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
20 feet. I swear I had dreams about somebody yelling at me 20 feet just again and again.
Were you always running off?
Certain distance.
Were you the one getting yelled at?
I don't think we were getting yelled at more than the other teams. Like, I don't think we were extra bad with it. But it's just, your first time racing, just the little things that, because, you watch the race, you really know, like, you think, I'm not mistakes. And then there's just little things, you're so focused on how to win, and you're focused on the actual challenges, that you forget about some of the little rules. And, one of the biggest ones that Matt and I would always screw up is, and every racer does it, but I think we were probably extra bad at this, where, there's two things. So if the challenge says somebody needs to pick up these, I don't know, something, and somebody else has to buy something from the market, you immediately want to go, all right, Matt, you do this, I'm going to run and do this. And then we would start taking off, and then you'd hear the camera crews, 20 feet, 20 feet.
Right.
There's one camera guy, two stories to tell.
Exactly. You guys are even there. Other than that, I mean, I thought have a big in this. We have a little meeting before the rules, and they keep telling us you're not supposed to outrun the camera crew, but they tell us, well, don't worry, you won't though. They're very fast. And I don't think I'm cocky or whatever, but you hear that and you think, well, I'm pretty fast. I'll probably outrun them. That's not fair. And then it never happens. Not one time. In Italy, we had a sound guy that had his gear was falling apart, and So he was slowing down because he was trying to pick the stuff up. And I mean, it was team fun. And Matt and I were, I mean, we had never ran so fast in our life. And eventually, right when we were jumping on the boats, we looked back. It was the only time ever we had outrun. It was a sound guy, and it's because his gear was falling apart. And then the camera guy looks at us. And I forget who we were running with at the time, but he looks at the sound guy and he goes, "Fuck him, go!" So he jumps on with us.
Oh my
and
God.
So even then, that would have been the one time that we thought that we were going to be held back. And even then, they read the situation. The camera guy realized this is the last challenge. He looked at the sound guy, told us just keep going on. So even in a situation like that where gear's falling apart, they won't hold us back. And that's something I was really worried about going in. I thought like there might be some behind the scenes drama, and there's just not. Like you guys are always.
There have been seasons
we need to go.
When there have been time credits for various reasons, whether it's technical reasons where the camera broke or something didn't work, etc. So there are precedents for time credits if needed. Okay.
Yeah, but then you just said it. There's a time credit, so it doesn't end up holding back
at all. Okay. Is there a Bertram filming training course? Do you have to pass like a physical course before you get to be a cameraman for The Amazing Race? Because there's you guys don't have to just be in shape. You have to be in like athlete shape. You're carrying what, 60 pounds, 50 pounds of stuff on your shoulder?
25-pound camera, 25-pound plus your own bag. So yeah, you're 30, 40 pounds when you're running. I got to change something.
Go ahead.
On me is horrible. Just a second.
The camera guy's like, lighting. Listen, I got to get some lighting. This is just not right. Diva camera guys.
While we're waiting, though, you know, the sound guy has a lot of weight, but the camera guys, you might, if you're thinking like, well, 30 pounds, that's not much. That's like this. They're carrying that like that with one arm.
With one arm.
Like if I'm carrying.
That surprised me the most when I saw the camera setup is that it's not actually attached to them. Like I figured it would be like stabilized somehow. No, they're just like free-wielding this camera on their shoulder. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I can tell you stories when I've dropped cameras. Those are always fun. Wiped out. Is there a Bertram school of thought? Bertram has very high standards. Bertram is a great boss, but he was also a very good cameraman. He did cops, he did everything, so he knows what he's talking about. You can't bullshit him. So you have to come in, and you have to bring your A game, or you'll be gone.
Is there an audition process? Like you have to go like an obstacle course or something, or you just bring a reel?
No, it's I got on because the old DP, Peter, had worked with me. He recommended me. He knew I could do it. So what Bertram does do, though, when he hires you, he trusts you, which is awesome. And the biggest thing, it's not about the technical side of what we do, even though that you have to be really proficient. And that camera has to be a part of you. You can't even think about it. You just have to know. But we're storytellers. That's the number one thing that we have to do. There's no director sitting there, get this shot. You have to get everything, which is what we love doing.
That's so awesome. All right. Do you have a favorite team that you've ever raced with? Is there a favorite for any particular reason? One, because you're a fan of the show, and two, because you're a cameraman.
Well, like I was saying earlier to Jen, I love running with athletes. One, it's hardcore. It's hard. And it's physically hard, but also mentally because they move fast. So you have to be on your game. And I absolutely love it because you are focused the whole time. And you're with them, and their intensity comes onto you, and you focus on what you need to get done. And I love that. I love the physicality of what we do. So running with teams like Jen, or I've run with hockey Olympians on the Canadian one, bobsledders on the American, like it's hardcore, and you got to be ready, and you got to know what you're doing. But I also love the hot messes. I love it's fun. What you see on TV when you're laughing, we're doing it too behind the camera. We're just like, okay, here we go. This is going to be. So I don't have a favorite per se. I can never name one team because I've been fortunate enough to run with a lot of great teams. I can't even say there's a team that I disliked. Just everyone has their own personality, which I love, and I love getting to know the racers when I have the privilege to run with them for a leg.
You're one of the nice guys. So we genuinely, definitely on our list, we have like 3 or 4 that stand out of the 20 something that we worked with. So the camera and sound guys you guys are amazing and deserve all the awards that you guys get. So, all right, let's get to it. Is there a team? Okay, if you were going to run the race, how do you think you would do as a camera guy, knowing all this behind the scenes stuff?
Oh my God, we'd kill it. We'd kill it. Why we could never do it
until they're actually racing for the $1 million. But no, you would.
The thing is, the reality is, and this is what's told me orientation, you can almost walk the race to win it if you didn't.
Walk, I guess. If you never get lost and you do the tasks well.
The thing is, we can never compete on the show because we know the ins and outs of it. We know how it's written. We know what the clues are. Like we know so much behind it.
You think you know more than the super fans?
I think that because they get all that.
Absolutely.
They get all the chit chat and like there's still stuff that I'm like, what do they know that we don't know?
They got to know 1 million times more than any of us. Yeah.
I wouldn't say 1 million. No, it's actually the Canadian one runs a little differently than the American one, but on the American one, we have very little information coming to us before.
That's what somebody wanted to know. Do you guys know the route for the race or what's coming so you guys know what to do, or do you get like 1 leg in advance?
Okay, I'll tell you 2 different scenarios that I deal with. So on the Canadian one, where I'm the lead camera, we have a meeting the night before with all the racer cams, and I go through the entire leg, what's happening. And I tell the camera crew and sound crew so they know. We have the story people in there. We talk about all the different stories, like who to look out for, who's getting grouchy, who's getting this, who's awesome, who's killing it, what stories to tell the next day. We do that because on ours, we just have a slightly different, we don't want to be so much surprise. There's enough surprises happening. We want to, let the viewers in on what they don't know, what the racers don't know. On the American one, which I love, and what Bertram we are there with you. So we do get a few notes. Some of them are like just basically technical, like where to stand, what the color temperature is. Color temperature being, if it's daylight, if it's tungsten, if it's whatever. There's going to be a camera hold here. Don't go in there. We get those notes, but it's not like a full. So we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and you're going to be here, there. I do that more on the Canadian one. On the American one, it's not like that.
Wow.
So in Morocco, it seemed like you guys knew we were about to have like a tough leg and that there was going to be a lot of running, because that was the first morning that I was watching the camera crew, and I'm like, they're like stretching and like warming up, like what's about to happen. So do they give you some kind of like, hey, this is going to be like a big day?
Yeah,
sort of.
They will give us that. They'll be like, you have X amount of, well, you guys use miles, but kilometers or whatever. This is what you have to run. This is what it could potentially be. And if they get lost, it could be whatever. So yeah, a lot of running. It's going to, obviously Morocco is a hot country, so stay hydrated, check it out.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. There's another question coming in. You're like this weird echo going on. There's another question in the chat room. Do you guys get frequent flyer miles for all of this traveling that you do? And if you do, where is it that you choose to go if you've done all this traveling?
Yes, we do. We get to collect our points, which is a very nice perk on it.
Wow.
Where do I choose to go? I'm lame. I choose to be home.
Really?
I have a family. I choose to be home.
Oh.
I am fortunate enough to travel as much as I do, and I love seeing the world, but there's no place like home.
Oh, I can't wait to be a dad.
With what you do, I mean, that's your job. I would, especially having a family, it totally makes sense that you wouldn't want to be traveling all the time. You'd want to spend at least a few days. How much of the year do you normally travel? Like how many days of the year do you think, rough estimate, that you're away from home?
When I had my first daughter, she's turning 7 in a couple of weeks, that first year she was born, I was gone 7 months out of the year.
Oh wow.
Jesus Christ.
Which is too much. So
That
I've
is
dialed that back.
insane.
Yeah,
It's a rough job, man.
Yeah, I've dialed it back a little bit, but it's a weird balance because I love what I do, and it's also my job. So that's how I get paid. You know, so it's a tough balance to do for sure.
Wow. So you could use those miles for some staycations at some nice hotels, though. You know, get a nice hotel in Toronto.
I'll take the girls down to wherever they want, somewhere sunny in the winter. But you know, I've used them to visit, you know, my in-laws in Florida.
Just regular stuff, not like, oh, I'm going to, you know, Tibet to visit the monks because I got 1,000,000 miles and I can go anywhere. I've been to Antarctica because I can. Like,
yeah, you know, I do have favorite places that I want to go back to, but you know, that will come.
Gotcha. So how many miles do you think you've accumulated?
Oh, I'd have to look, but I'll just say we hit a lead every year, so we're fine.
Well, I know Bertram likes to say I've traveled 1,000,000 miles. I don't know if there's a travel mileage that you've hit. Like, oh, I've hit 500,000, I've hit 1,000,000. In general, not like frequent flyer miles. Just how much have you flown?
In general, it's got to be close to 500,000 now, or maybe a little bit.
Do you have one of your passports on you? Because every one of the veteran camera guys, and I mean, you guys, the passports, you guys had the books, and I know, I forget who it was, but a couple of you would put big Sharpie on the back of the number of, you know, what number book that is, since you guys have gone through a couple of them. I mean, it blows my mind how many pages are getting stamped, how often you're traveling.
Yeah, we go through, like, I just got a new passport, but my last one, I had it for a 10-year, for a year, and it was filled up. So I had to get a new one.
Wow.
So that's a lot of pages.
And so a 10-year passport, that's like, I mean, what's a normal passport compared to that?
5 years.
Mine just looks like a tiny little,
yeah,
you know, it looks like a credit card compared to what some of you guys were rocking.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ryan, if you could pick any person to be your partner, who would you pick? Another camera guy, another sound guy? Would you go Bertram, Elise, Phil? Who would you pick to be your partner?
Oh, that's a good, like, in terms of crew?
No, not crew. Running the race.
I could
no,
pick.
But like, meaning someone from crew or anyone in his life to join him to run the race.
I'm saying you could pick anyone. You could pick a racer. You could pick your wife. You could pick the crew. You could pick Bertram. There's nobody off limits.
Wow, that is God, that's a great question. I never thought about it.
Okay, while you're thinking about that, how hard was it to make Gino and Jesse interesting? That's for the Canadian.
I love how they were really good dudes. Yeah, they were good guys.
Yep, not good for TV, but good people.
Yeah,
not two different things. No, okay. Who are you running the race with?
Okay, who would I run the race with? Anyone?
Yeah,
I would choose. Like, you know, I could go the friend route because, like, he's an athlete as well. So someone like Jen, like someone that, like, an athlete that's intense but can focus and run would be great.
Love these athletes. I see a trend here.
Focus. And yeah, I'd say my friend Dave.
Wow. So you think you have enough of the knowledge that you could just bring like a friend that works well with you and be a good teammate?
Totally.
That's interesting. And Jen, what do you think? Would you run the race with Orion?
I would. I'd run the race with anyone if I had the opportunity. Let's be real. Yeah. I mean, running it with the cameraman, I think it would be a really interesting dynamic because they do know a lot. But you guys, I know Audition, Redmond, and Justin, you guys watched so much of this show before you were on it. We all thought it was going to be easier than it was because once you're there, it's not even just about like the not knowing things, but the reality of the pressure and like actually trying to make these decisions to the best of your ability in the shortest amount of time possible, it takes a toll that you like, I don't know. It's easy to look at us and think we're just all I'm saying, but it's harder than you would know. So I think it would be really interesting to kind of combine like,
I do too, and I think that one reason I think athletes excel at this, and I think reasons why the cameramen excel at this, because normal people are not dealing with this adrenaline every day. Like this adrenaline every day, constantly for 3 weeks in a row, the body's just stressed with this adrenaline. And athletes, they're used to it, and especially you extreme athletes who go through all this crazy stuff. So I think that's one of the reasons you guys can maintain the edge when you know this adrenaline's coming in, and you're not getting the jitters like me when I first got in the car. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm bouncing.
But for as well as Christy and I did, like we felt like a hot mess most of the time. Like we just always kind of felt like we were disasters. And then we're like, I guess we weren't that big of a disaster, but yeah, it's amazing, an amazing phenomenon. The like race mind is just, it's wild.
Ryan, what are your favorite countries to film in?
I love Georgia. We went to Tbilisi and it was amazing. That is number 1 on my list.
Wow.
I love Africa. Anywhere in Africa, put me. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. How could you go wrong with those sunsets, the animals, the backdrop?
Oh, you just can't take a bad shot. I love Africa. South America is cool. Like we did Chile, which is pretty awesome. Argentina is pretty cool. Buenos Aires was awesome.
Where do you wish you could film?
That I haven't been to yet?
Yep.
Film? Oh, I want to go like Easter Island, like somewhere super remote and like that no one really gets to go. Antarctica. I'd love to go down there and shoot that.
That was an idea for an extreme season. We had go to places that people have never been, like Antarctica, Easter Islands. You go to like Madagascar. You go to all these like remote places, Tibet. Like we go to all these places, but I'm like the odds of getting permits to go to all these places is going to be like.
Oh yeah, the logistics behind that. Because we looked into it on the Canadian one to go up to the most northern civilization is in Canada. It's called Alert. Look it up. It's like a military base up there. Up, like you can't get any further. So we looked into it, but it's just logistically trying to get a whole crew and TV crew is just game too much.
This one came in from the spaceship. Is the Earth flat or round?
Next question.
I don't know because you read Antarctica. I mean, you might have been there. You flew there, around there, because is it protecting some minerals? And
did you say
resources?
Around there?
Around there?
Yeah.
You can go around. You could go around a circle on a time. Oh, people are nuts.
It is very much round, and you ask any pilot in the world if you've ever been in a plane.
Yeah, I mean, any sniper they have to worry about the curvature of the Earth when they're shooting a bullet. Like, you gotta, and any kind of science would be wrong. Yeah, just a random question. All right. What do you guys have any questions? I'm going to answer one in the chat room. Go for it. I got to answer a quick one in the chat room.
I want to know, Ryan, what challenge you want to do of all the ones that you've seen. Like, what seemed like the coolest challenge?
Oh man, you guys are fortunate, man, because I get so envious of watching you guys do that. And I have the privilege of, when I went to Zone a few times, to go and do a couple of events for the camera work.
Yeah.
Anything skydiving, jumping off, that adrenaline rush, I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat. Like anything high, because I've been pretty good at heights, but I just love like that adrenaline rush of jumping out of a plane. I love to go and do that. Puzzles, boring, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that's physical, I would absolutely love to do.
That's awesome. So, we have another Canadian question. Will there ever be like an American versus the world type of amazing race?
Ooh.
That'd be fun.
You know, I was talking with a producer last night, coincidentally, and I suggested it. I was like, do you know it'd be fun, like having an all-stars, but like a world all-stars competing against each other?
The best of the world, because I got to hear about Mark and Revolution from like Israel being like, oh, they finished like a 1.5. They were like first in everything. I'm like, bring them on. We were an American version. It's harder here, right?
Female Olympians that reminded me of like they were so good. They won 8 legs. They almost tied the record or whatever. They lost in the finale.
Season 2. Yeah, trust me, I know how that works. It was 7 and lost in the, but we're not going to relive that because All-Stars. Let's get to this All-Stars World All-Stars thing. No, I like that. Okay. Also, when will the Canadian version start leaving Canada more? Listen, all right, Canada's big, and that's your biggest sponsor, right? Like a local travel business.
Yeah. So there's a couple reasons why we don't leave Canada more. One is budget. In the Canadian market, we have much smaller. And also, the bigger thing is, the biggest numbers are the Canadian market. When we go international, the numbers aren't there to you guys. Yeah. And I personally, how many people travel their whole country? I'm so fortunate that I get to do it every year. I've seen every province, every territory.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's like I've seen my own country, which is amazing. And I love, and it's so diverse on each side. Like it's so amazing to do that. So it's not going to happen.
Okay. So what about all of us? I think Redmond would want to come with us. I know Jen would want to go. I think you need to take us on a tour of Banff at some point. Can you do that?
Oh, absolutely.
I've been dreaming about this place. There's no way that it looks as beautiful as the pictures, and people say the pictures don't even look half as good as the real place.
If you drive up to Jasper, you go up there. Oh my god! Yeah.
All right, so we got to book a trip to Banff. Jen, you could teach us how to ski proper. All right, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that isn't there like Stormy Daniels interview on? Jeez, no. I really appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you so much. It's great to hear that their camera people are actually super fans of the show and not just doing it for a couple dollars.
Totally. Can I ask one question of all three of you?
Absolutely. You could. Yeah. Listen, I didn't want to take up your time, but I can hang all day. Go for it.
What was the biggest surprise when you got on the race? What was like the number one thing that each one of you came in and said, wow, I wasn't expecting that?
I could start because it was easier. For me, it was the adrenaline. I didn't understand how it was affecting my judgment and how I was affecting the way that, like, people think that I was being loud and boisterous to like throw the other teams off. It was me getting off this adrenaline. I had so much adrenaline. So when I was screaming Gaucho a million times, while I was dancing around, I was doing this thing. This was just me trying to run this adrenaline off. I'm not a professional athlete like Redmond and Jen are. Like, I'm not used to that. So for me, the adrenaline was just like, holy cow, I didn't know how to react. And it cost me, like, socially.
Interesting. What about you, Redmond?
So the number one thing would be, I was really expecting, I think like every president walks in and they're expecting, you know, they're going to be told about aliens. Like, I think I was expecting to walk in and they were going to say, all right, here's how we actually run the race. Like, and I thought they were going to tell me a lot of secrets, or they're going to tell us how things really operated. And that's just not how it is. I mean, what you see is actually what you get. Like, the only little secrets and stuff, the only things that we know are just things to just make it, you know, a better show. Like, they tell you, look into the camera when you're reading the clue. And, you know, they tell you all these little things. But they never, everything that you see is real. And I truly was not expecting that. I thought they were going to, you know, day one we got there, and I thought they were going to tell us, here's how we actually run the Amazing Race.
Like, it's a little more staged.
Exactly. And it was very refreshing that it wasn't. It was also pretty scary to find out, like, oh, you mean I actually have to find a way to get to the airport and then have to find a way to get to some statue in Africa? You know, I mean, it was intimidating, but at the same time, it was really great to hear that, because I was definitely, I mean, I was 90% sure it was going to happen, where they were going to tell me, hey, it's fake. This is what we want you to do. And just because I'm a cynic, I guess, I'm a conspiracy theorist. And it was very refreshing to find out how real the whole thing is.
That's cool. What about you, Jen?
So I have a few things. So the most surprising part about the difficulty running the race for me, and I think Christy would say this too, is the navigating in self-drive legs. And I mean, navigating in general without technology, and again, like slowing down enough to take the time to write down step-by-step directions. So like later in the race, we got a little bit geeky and probably spent too much time and energy trying to make sure we always had as much information and directions as we could. But then as far as like the production and how the show comes together, there are two things. One, just the logistical aspect of the whole thing, like how many people they have on the ground all the time to make this show possible was mind-blowing. That was probably the biggest surprise. And then also, Ryan, you talked about this, that like the cameramen and the sound men and women, you guys act as story producers as well. And that was something I didn't really think about before. Like you see all the interviews afterwards with the producers trying to pull that story out of you. But if you don't get the sound bites while we're running the race, then there's a big disconnect in the story and the whole show falls apart. So that to me was pretty surprising and really cool to see you guys take on.
Oh, thanks. That's part of the job.
That's so cool. So what would you like to see on the American version that hasn't been on the American version yet, Ryan? I love the face-off, which is like not as good as the Canadian head-to-head version, but at least they're trying.
They're trying. No, man, I can't. Which one do we do in the Canadian one? We have face-off. We do.
You do face-off in Canada because of hockey.
Yeah, because of the hockey. Yeah,
makes sense.
That was based on. So your head-to-head that you guys had, Jen, was based on what we've done for a few seasons now.
I liked yours better. I like the water kayak one would have been cool.
The kayak one. We had a croca curl last season, which is curling and crokinole. Two very Canadian things.
Yeah, I don't even know what crokinole is.
Look it up.
Food.
It's the interweb.
The interwebs.
You know what? Like the thing is just we are so ingrained to you because you guys came up and showed us how to do the show that there's very little I would like to see that is much different. You know, like where would I like to go? I've been to most places. It's been great.
That's so awesome. That's the way it's going to be. So Bertram, Elise, and everybody's back. They say that there's going to be filming for season 31. They're casting for season 31. They have a filming month for season 31. Did they book the camera crew for season 31?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Listen, listen. We love Bertram and Elise, and they would never want to do anything to harm their baby, and we want to see season 131. So, I really appreciate you coming on. You're an awesome dude, and you're an even more incredible cameraman. Best in the business. You deserve all the accolades you guys have gotten.
Thank you. And I loved running with all of you guys. It's always been a pleasure. This show's a blast. So
yeah, you could tell us off the air how you really felt.
I will. Don't worry. We're going to have a real calm
down. All right, guys. Jen, thank you so much for jumping on in the extreme weather. I appreciate it out there.
Pleasure. No
problem. Redmond, thank you for being in the back seat of a full car and still being the man.
Thank you very much.
You guys are very special to me. You guys are very special to me, and everybody that's joined us in the chat rooms live. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, hearts for you guys. All right, that's gonna do it. Races recap, 1 hour. I think that was good. Thank you guys. Working on producers and hosts. Matt, Pat, call me back.